Have you noticed grocery bills soaring lately? What about gas prices that keep rising with no end in sight? Or rent and housing costs that make owning a home nothing more than a pipe dream for many hardworking families today? You're not alone. And unfortunately, this could merely be the beginning of a looming economic crisis worldwide. The so-called experts want you to believe inflation is transitory and under control. But you and I know better, don't we? We see the real economic pain playing out right in front of our eyes every single day. So what's really going on here? Could it be signs of something much more ominous? Welcome back, truth seekers, to my channel. I'm Geopolitics Alert, your personal finance and economic analyst here to blow the lid off the government's so-called recovery. Hold on tight, because we're going to dive deep to uncover what the elite don't want you to know. That a catastrophic financial meltdown has likely already begun. The lies stop here. By the end, you'll understand why so many Americans feel like they're drowning economically, and you'll start to grasp how a horrifying global debt crisis could unleash financial carnage beyond most people's worst nightmares. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss my upcoming videos exposing the economic lies and cover-ups. Let's kick things off by looking at the actual data and financial metrics, not just propaganda or wishful thinking. Recent Federal Reserve reports show that credit card delinquencies have shot up over 15% in just the last year alone. That's millions of additional American households falling way behind on credit card payments in a relatively short time frame. By all accounts, this is a huge red flag signaling broad and intensifying financial duress. At the very same time, adjusted real wages have remained stagnant across the board when factoring in true inflation. According to credible economists like John Williams at ShadowStats, when using the same metrics to calculate consumer price inflation as was used in the 1970s and early 80s, we find that inflation is actually hovering around 10 to 12% per year, not the official figure of 7 to 8% claimed by the bureaucrats. It's now clear that wages and incomes have not even remotely kept up, with the totally insane rise in cost of living that has squeezed the average American. Just think about it. Median home prices relative to income have skyrocketed over 8 times higher when compared to back in 1950. It's no wonder a record high 70% of working Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck, just struggling week to week. And it's only getting worse. Hardworking people can barely afford the basics, even with both parents working in most households today. This brings us closer to the heart of the crisis. The stark reality is that the entire economy has been artificially propped up by unfathomable amounts of debt and financialization over the past 2 decades. When you step back and look, basically since 2000, total US debt has exploded over 350% higher to its current freakish level. This includes government, corporate, small business, and consumer debt. Essentially, everyone has been binging on debt like never before. Today, total US debt is a mind-bending $92 trillion. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's widen our focus to the global economy, where total debt has skyrocketed over 3 times higher since 2000 to an absolutely freakish $300 trillion. Let that number sink in for a minute. The entire world economy is being artificially supported by record debt levels, just to maintain this illusion of stability and growth. The days of borrowing our way to prosperity are likely coming to an end. It seems we've finally reached the absolute limit as most of the world drowns in debt. The credit cards are maxed out both literally and proverbially. US consumer credit card limits were recently tightened, and lending rates are now spiking as the Federal Reserve desperately tries to slow down this ticking time bomb. But it might be too little too late at this point. So what happens when this unprecedented global debt superbubble comes crashing down, which it inevitably will? Given the freakish and unsustainable levels of borrowing across the board, the fallout could kickstart a worldwide financial crisis even worse and more chaotic than anything we've ever seen before. Just look back at the devastating waves of bankruptcies and defaults from the 2008 housing debt crisis, which led to the Great Recession and stock market crash. Well, all indications are that the next phase of this ongoing crisis could be exponentially worse. It's not just a US phenomenon either, folks. Practically all other major developed economies around the world, like China, the EU, UK, Japan, and emerging markets have been piling on insane levels of debt too. ever since the global financial crisis of 2008. The strategy of endless money printing and borrowing pursued by most central banks to deal with the Great Recession has simply just delayed the inevitable implosion of the system. It was not a real solution, only an addiction. With so many nations already facing plunging currency values, political turmoil, and civil unrest, this house of cards appears closer than ever to coming down. Get this. Just since 2000, when the everything bubble really started inflating, total global debt has exploded over threefold higher to a freakish $300 trillion. That figure is simply incomprehensible. Let that absolute monster of a number sink in for a minute. Practically the entire world economy is being artificially propped up by record debt levels, simply to maintain the illusion of stability and growth. But only massive pain lies ahead now that the party is ending. The writing is clearly on the wall at this point for anyone willing to look. Excessive debt levels have made the entire global economy extremely fragile and vulnerable like never before. It looks like we are on the verge of another major crisis, if not a full-on economic Armageddon. To protect yourself, my advice is to brace yourself by shoring up your personal financial situation and warning your family and friends. This is not a drill. When this everything bubble detonates and implodes, things could start crashing down faster and more violently than anyone expects. We could see disruptions to everyday necessities like food, fuel, electricity, and even civil order before it's all said and done. The semi-good news is you can still take action to protect yourself, though the window is closing fast. Moves like stockpiling emergency savings, paying off high-interest debts, and diversifying into hard asset investments like physical gold-silver could help safeguard the financial stability of you and your family. Holding some crypto like Bitcoin and real estate for bonus diversification also makes sense here. But you have to make these moves now before it's too late, because once this economic crisis kicks into high gear, the window will slam shut. I cannot emphasize this enough. Being prepared is crucial. This is about the survival and livelihood of you and your loved ones both today and in the future. I recommend you check the description below to learn how to make money online right now. I mean passive income from crypto trading, buying stock or gold, to quit your 9-to-5 job. Well, that wraps up this extremely pressing video on the hidden economic crisis that they don't want you to worry about. Please smash that subscribe button and click the bell to stay up to date as I track these rapidly deteriorating conditions. I'll be posting even more in-depth and regular updates going forward. And remember, if you want to get a head start on the financial storm brewing ahead, make sure to check the description, where I reveal the specific gold, Bitcoin, and stocks that economic insiders recommend you buy right now before the meltdown kicks into overdrive. My friends, it's not too late yet, so start taking action today. Stay tuned and please be prepared out there, folks. Very dark clouds are gathering, which I'm keeping a very close eye on. Until next time, take care.